What up, Questoids? Welcome back to another installment of stupid bullshit. So, my last video discussed Trent in Total Drama. I talked about his introduction in Island and the borderline character assassination in action. For this video, I'm going to be discussing two characters that, despite not being lobotomized, had it even worse. Even though Trent's downfall is really fucking dumb, at the very least, it's entertainingly dumb.
It was a good movie, right, Gwen?
Bruh. That cannot be said for the subjects of this video. I am of course talking about Katie and Sadie. There's a pretty strong argument to be made that Katie and Sadie have the absolute least amount of shit to do as compared to the rest of the Gen 1 cast. There were characters that got eliminated before them, but most of those guys returned either in Action or World Tour, so they were able to develop further across the original 3 seasons. The only exception is Eva, who got out second and never appeared in any other season. But she also returned later in the first season, and while it was only for 1 episode, she had clear motives and a much better personality. Even Blaney was better developed, you could argue. Sure, she was in like 3 fucking episodes, but she also hosted Aftermath, acted as a mild foil to Jeff and Bridget's relationship, and when she joined the World Tour cast, her presence was arguably felt more than Katie and Sadie's. So where did these characters go wrong? Well, let's take a look back at their brief stints in Total Drama Island. The first episode of TDI doesn't give them much time to develop, but truthfully, it doesn't give anyone any time to do anything. Everyone's arriving on the island, and there's like 20 people in this cast, so we gotta speed run these intros. The one contribution these two have in this episode is when they get upset about being on different teams. Katie's on the Screaming Gophers, and Sadie's on the Killer Bass, and they're just crying and whining, and oh my god, I'm already fucking done with these two characters. Their gimmick is that they're annoying and inseparable. They aren't even annoying in a funny way. They are just as obnoxious to me as they are to Chris McLean, and that is just really not fucking right. We shouldn't have to be as irritated by these two people as the in-universe host is. But this actually ends up being a recurring issue in Total Drama casts. Every new generation, there's always one intolerable individual that just fucking sucks. For the most part, these characters get eliminated very early so as to make way for the more interesting characters to develop. My problem is that Katie and Sadie genuinely stick around for too long. It's true that by episode 6, Katie gets eliminated and the world is better for it, but I just wish that one of them got out sooner. Or hell, let's just do a double elimination episode for the first time. I couldn't decide to keep either of them based solely on merit as compared to the other people that left before Katie. Justin did nothing wrong. Eva was a solid asset to the Killer Bass. Ezekiel didn't do anything too bad. Oh, wait.
Women aren't funny.
It's true that many Total Drama characters are one note, but let's at least have that one note sound pleasant. Thankfully, after the camping episode, Katie gets eliminated, and Sadie cries for like 10 minutes, and then she doesn't give a shit. After the Screaming Gophers go on their big fat L streak, Sadie finally gets eliminated. Throughout her time without Katie, she really had just absolutely nothing to do. She was just kind of there. Sometimes she even spoke. The point is, she had no personality without Katie being there, which is not how you write a compelling character. I think the crew knew that about Katie and Sadie though, because after TDI, they pretty much ceased to exist. They pop up in the Aftermath with all the other players and have brief cameos, but besides that, nothing. I'm not complaining though. It's not like they would have really added too much to Action or World Tour if it was decided to put them in. I would still be hoping for them to be early boots, and considering the fact that in comparison to other Total Drama characters, their fan base is fairly small, I don't think that many people would complain about that. In the end, I don't think there was a more deserved fate than what happened to Katie and Sadie. Forever forgotten. Thank fucking Christ. What up, gang? It's Quest in the outro. That's right, I do outros now. Maybe. I don't know. I just wanted to say that I know this is a really different format. These last 2 videos are just really different from what I usually do. But truthfully, I have been in a very intense creative drought. And these videos were things that I really wanted to make. And they kind of got me out of that creative drought. So I'm thankful to have made them. I know that, you know, a lot of people watch me just for the Gmod shit, and rest assured, I am still working on Gmod shit. It's just that there are also other videos that I found myself kind of wanting to make as well. Anyways, subscribe to Looney Tunes.